35 down the sidelines to the 40, makes a move to the 45 to the 50. He's to the 40. He could go. He's on the 25 to 20. They dive at him. They miss him. He's in the end zone. Touchdown.
Throws up his back foot, wide open man in the end zone. Leaping grab. Touchdown.
Launches the throw down toward the goal line, going up. Ball tipped in the air. Caught. Touchdown.
Reverses his field. Got a block from Pittman. Going deep. Got a man in the end zone. Touchdown.
It's a man's game tonight now. You know that. Everybody watching tonight.
And welcome everybody once again to the Big Uglies right here on UndefinedRadio.com. Man, gotta get these cameras set. They're always moving. They're always moving. How you guys doing out there today? This is a special episode of the Big Uglies because there's lots of news to talk about, lots of things going on. So me and JC got a lot to break down for you guys. I mean, it's going to be a lot. It looks like, especially with what all's going on in the big talk is the SEC. We've got NFL football coming up. The football season itself is on its way.
Yeah, college football is blowing wide open. Guys, it is officially the most wonderful time of year, and I am not talking about Christmas. I am talking specifically about college football and the NFL as well.
Yeah, dude, and it's a great time. It's a great time. There's no doubt about it. So, buckle up. Like I said, lots to talk about. If you haven't followed us on Facebook, please do that. You can go to Undefined Radio and follow us there. But check out our YouTube channel as well. That's the Undefined Radio on YouTube. Go check that out. Give us a like, subscribe, follow, hit that notification bell. That way, whenever we go live, you'll get it. Help share the channel. Help share the page. We have lots and lots of shows that we've got going on. Some new ones we're about to do. We're airing high school football. We have the Charleston Tigers, who's back for their third year. And starting out for the first year, North Delta is on board this season for their first year on board Undefined Radio. That's on Friday nights, Friday night high school football. Don't want to miss that, and that's a great thing because these kids get that exposure. Families who can't go to the games, families who are out of town, can't come into town, maybe it's a long drive. You know, we're not all just one small community anymore. Yeah. So it's a nationwide community, people living everywhere. It's a great thing to do for your school because on regular radio, you really only get to broadcast right there where you're at, right?
Yeah, just in your
very
local centralized area.
Or you have to pay a subscription to some places to listen. Undefined Radio, you don't.
Nope, you can listen worldwide, wherever there is, wherever you are in the free world, that is.
Yeah, just tune in.
Where your internet is not limited by whatever the local government is.
Exactly.
If you can be in, I don't know, in England, for example. Let's say you're on holiday there, and your nephew is playing in a big game for the Charleston Tigers. You can still listen to the game. You can be active in what's going on. You can listen to it live. Hey, if you miss the game will be archived.
Yeah.
You can go back and listen to it later.
That's right. And this also allows the players who are playing in the game to go back and listen to the actual game the next day. So it's a lot of opportunity. You can get your school. If you want to know how you can get your school on Undefined Radio, just email us at radio@undefinedradio.com. Send us an email. Let us know you're interested. I'll shoot you the information. It's really easy to do. You don't have to invest in a lot of expensive equipment to do this. All you have to do is have your phone pretty much, and you have to we'll tie you into the studio, and you have to have somebody to broadcast. That's your two main things that you have to do it. It's real easy to do. Plus, we're also going to have a wrap-up show on Friday nights from 9:30 till about 11:30. Every Friday night, we're running down the high school scores from all the games throughout the state of Mississippi, at least right now. We know we're doing that. And we'll run down the stats. We'll run down who's on top, who's leading these divisions, who is well on their way to the playoffs, all that good stuff. And we're going to take you throughout the playoffs. That's the good thing about it. It's going to be pretty fun. It's the first year doing it. Been wanting to do this for a couple years now. Barry Perkins will be joining us on Friday nights to get that done. So that's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff happening. A lot of good stuff happening. A lot of stuff going forward. Also, if you haven't liked our Undefined Media page, please go do that. We start off branching out, doing all these things with media. And Undefined Radio, we do a lot of media stuff.
Yeah, you saw the new show intro we had today?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was powered by Undefined Media.
Yep. Yeah, it was. And
so if you like those types of videos, these are things that we can bring to you and your company, your brand, whatever it might be. We can do holiday greeting cards if you're tired of mailing out the traditional family Christmas photo and
That's
card
right.
and getting those made, writing them out. And maybe some of you are very traditional and you like doing that. But we're trying to simplify it for you. All you got to do is submit pictures to us, pick whatever package you would like, and we'll put together a video for you, and then you can use that to send to all your friends and family.
Which is really cool.
So, a lot of big things going on with Undefined Media, with Undefined Radio, Friday Night Football.
So much.
You know, things are popping off here at Undefined.
That's right, so stay tuned. It's only getting bigger. It's only getting better. But, hey, look, you tuned in for one thing.
Absolutely.
If you're a football fan, you've tuned in for one thing today.
Oh, we are here to discuss.
It's the news. It's the biggest news going right now in football.
Yeah.
And that is Texas, is Oklahoma, are those two teams, are they going to be part of the SEC? Is that possible? Are you for it? Are you against it? What's the benefits? Is it just a power play? Is it a money play? What is going on with this?
It's definitely a money play.
We're about to break this down.
Yeah,
it's all about the money.
Yeah,
we already know
there's
that.
There's very few reasons for Texas and Oklahoma to do it because they are dominating their conferences, especially Oklahoma.
Yep.
It's dominating the Big 12. But financially, this makes all the sense in the world for Texas, for Oklahoma. Texas is losing money on the Longhorn Network.
Yep.
That was really a ploy for them to not go into join the Pac-10 as it was back then.
Exactly.
At the time of conference realignment, which is now the Pac-12. But A&M being in the SEC has succeeded where you think they were little brother when they were in the Big 12.
Oh, yeah.
They were little brother to Texas and Oklahoma, and at times Texas Tech even. So Oklahoma and their athletic director, Ross Bjork, who used to be at Ole Miss, he wants to, quote-unquote, protect Texas A&M in the SEC amid this Texas-Oklahoma report. He wants to be the only school in the state of Texas that is in the SEC.
Yep.
And if Ross Bjork protects A&M the way that he protected Ole Miss,
oh yeah,
A&M's
exactly.
in for a really bad time.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I mean, come on, man.
So I'm personally, I think this would be a great move for Texas and Oklahoma. This would be a great move for the SEC because it's two other blue blood programs that you're bringing in.
Exactly.
It's not like you're bringing in, Boise State and Air Force here, or Colorado State and Navy. If you're bringing in Texas and Oklahoma, those are two big-time brands. And being the first super conference at that point, 16-team super conference in the SEC, you want to talk about a death march. It doesn't matter which division you're in. Whether you're in the East or the West, it is a death march to get through that regular season to put yourself in a position to play for the SEC championship. It's already daunting.
Exactly.
Now it becomes that much harder. Because now, if Texas and Oklahoma are both in the SEC, think about the recruiting advantage that they get as well. So now you're talking about even more high-quality players coming to Texas, coming to Oklahoma, because now they're going to get those SEC eyeballs on them. Because there's not a scout in this country that doesn't watch SEC football. Not a one.
No, that's true.
Talking about as it pertains to NFL scouts or even scouts on other college teams that are looking at those transfer portal players.
Absolutely.
So they all watch the SEC. Not as many people watch the Pac-12 because of the late times for the rest of the country. So it would be largely beneficial for the SEC, for the other schools in the SEC, because they're all going to start making more money.
Well, think of these smaller schools, right? So these smaller schools are not drawing in as much money as these bigger schools. By playing at Texas, by playing at Oklahoma, you're automatically going to increase your revenue.
Oh, without question.
From those games alone, you're going to do that. So people who are against it saying that, well, these smaller schools really aren't going to have a chance then, and I don't consider really many SEC schools lesser. Because they're all almost all of them are just so tight.
I mean, there's Vanderbilt.
Well, that's why I said almost. So, but that's what I'm saying is even Vandy will benefit from this, and just being a part of the SEC anyway, and just the more revenue that comes in, the more the schools will benefit.
And you think the SEC network will absorb the Longhorn network at that point, which means they'll get that full Longhorn network library, which is more content for the SEC network, which is another big win for the SEC.
Exactly.
As well. But, we got to talk about the elephant in the room here. If Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC,
yes,
that then leaves the Big 12 conference with only 8 teams.
Oops.
So what do they do? Do they start grabbing the top Power 5 schools? Or do they fold? They could fold.
They could fold.
They could absolutely say, hey, tell the other members in the conference, like, we're closing up shop. Go ahead, start trying to find some other conferences you can join. I mean, you could probably very easily see Kansas State maybe join the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Maybe Oklahoma State, Texas Tech move out west and join the Pac-12. Perhaps after that, you even get, I don't know, say Baylor and Texas, Baylor, and there's another Texas-based school that I'm missing right now. But, they might move into where, I mean, they could join the Pac-12 as well, because Pac-12 only has 12 teams. So if we're about to see the 16-team super conference, this is where it happens. West Virginia can move back to the ACC. It's TCU. That was the other school I was thinking of. They could join the Pac-12. So we can see that in the Big 12 folds. Or does the Big 12 then turn around and try to get some of these, like, group of 5 premier schools? Do they... Because you remember a few years ago, Memphis was trying to join the Big 12.
That's right.
So do they then decide, hey, we'll bring Memphis in. We'll bring a Boise State in. Do they go for one of the independents, like Notre Dame? Because that could be a big get.
I mean, it could, but would it make more sense for these teams to go elsewhere? Baylor, Iowa State. I mean, any of these teams.
I mean, Iowa State, that's another school that makes sense for, like, the Big Ten or the ACC.
That's right. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, you got
especially with
West
the
Virginia.
recent success that Iowa State's having as well.
Well, and there it is. I mean, I can see some of these teams that can be on the outs right here. I mean, they're going to maybe be in limbo. But for some of those, like Iowa and Baylor, West Virginia, maybe even Texas Tech or Oklahoma State, I mean, you figure they've got to do something and would want to move somewhere where those schools can get some revenue too. To do that, you're going to have to go to a Big 5 power conference.
Yeah, but but with the Big 12 folding, or if they fold, I mean, I'm not trying to say that they are going to fold, but if they do fold, then now there's only 4 power conferences.
Well, exactly, but that's my point though, is that you're leaving a sinking ship, and there's not going to be as much revenue in this one.
But you
do you try to get Notre Dame like you're talking about? Do you try to get some of these other schools in there to make Big 12 the Big 12 again?
Notre Dame would be the only saving grace for them. I mean, that's the only way you really save this thing. I feel like it's the only way to save the Big 12 if Texas and Oklahoma leave, is to bring in Notre Dame. But you're going to have to make a big-time deal that makes it worth Notre Dame's while. Otherwise, Notre Dame would have joined a conference years ago. But they remain an independent for a reason.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And that's because of their brand power. They've got their own deal with CBS. Like, you're always going to find Notre Dame football on CBS, whether it's before or after either a Big Ten game or an SEC game. But the SEC is leaving CBS. The SEC had just struck a deal with ABC and Disney.
That's right.
So, I think in 2025, you're going to see SEC football there on ABC. Now, they've already agreed to terms. But if Texas and Oklahoma join, you got to think those terms get restructured.
What about Liberty?
What about Liberty?
What about Liberty?
As far as joining the Big 12?
Joining the Big 12. I mean, they're another Virginia-based team, right?
Yeah, but the thing with Liberty is they're new kids on the block.
They are.
They're new to Division I football. They've had some decent success with Hugh Freeze as their head coach, the former Ole Miss head coach. But I don't know if they don't have the brand to be a draw yet.
Well, I don't know if they do either. But I'm just saying, if you're looking to try to grab somebody to fill in the Big 12, and you're saying here may be an opportunity to get a couple of these independents,
I think
Liberty
their
be
stadium's
one of
too
those?
small as well.
Liberty's is?
Yes.
That's quite possible.
They are a small private Christian university.
Yeah, Jerry Falwell, I think. Isn't it Falwell that started that up? I want to say. Yeah, it was Jerry Falwell, yeah.
What, from Kings of Leon?
Huh? Oh, dude, what are you talking about? No, the preacher.
You say Jerry Falwell, that's who I think of as Kings of Leon.
No, different thing. Different thing completely. So, I mean, there's opportunity there, but, again, I don't know. I don't know if they just fold all together. I don't know what it means. I just know that for the SEC, and we're Texas fans.
Yeah.
I mean, let's make no mistake, even though we've got views on what's happening to our university in particular, we're still Texas fans, and as such,
And
seeing them
I'm
in
an
SEC
alumni
country
of
will be great.
Ole Miss, so let's
That's
get
right.
that out there too. So I have a very rooted interest in what happens with the SEC.
Absolutely. So I think it only makes the SEC better. And then, of course, SEC haters are absolutely going to hate the fact if Oklahoma and Texas go to the SEC. You're talking the SEC gets 2 teams in the playoffs every year.
As it is.
Yeah. And that's I think that's a shoe-in every year if they join. There's not even a question anymore. That happens. There's too many good schools. And, I mean, you look at the SEC. I mean, you're talking about Florida, Georgia. You're talking about Alabama.
Powerhouse.
LSU.
Powerhouse.
And you got Texas A&M, who isn't doing just too bad. Yeah. But Mississippi State, I mean, Ole Miss. I mean, you've got all these big – Auburn.
Right.
I mean, you've got school after school after school. Then you throw in Oklahoma. Then you throw in Texas. I mean –
that's a lot of power.
That's a lot of good stuff.
It's a lot of power, a lot of high-profile brands. And also, the thing that we haven't talked about yet is with the new NIL, name, image, and likeness
stuff. Oh, my God,
stuff,
yeah, really.
Now you can pitch that to players. Not only are you at Texas, not only are you at Oklahoma, but now you're in the SEC, and you're going to get paid ridiculous amounts of money because everyone's got their eyes on you.
Well, Alabama has a kid, a new recruit. He hasn't even taken a snap for the team yet, and is almost nearing 7 figures.
Kid's 18 years old, almost a millionaire because of these new NIL.
Yeah.
And that's the brand power of Alabama.
Yes,
and Nick Saban said that himself.
Sure.
That's the way it works. But you think you get a Texas and Oklahoma in there? Recruiting only goes up for those schools, which means recruiting only goes up for the SEC. That's another thing for the SEC to beat their chest about. And, hey, it should be. That should be a point of pride for them. I think the only SEC school that really doesn't like this is A&M.
They're crying so hard right
they
now.
were very upset about getting
Lord.
bullied in the Big 12.
That's right.
That they left there.
Exactly.
And they know that if Texas and Oklahoma come to the SEC, they will once again get bullied.
Oh, my Lord. I want to see it so bad.
I do, too. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. I think it's hilarious.
I do, too,
but
just because of the crying and the whining.
But also, I think that's a great game that hasn't been played in so many years, the Texas A&M game.
Oh, exactly. We could have that again.
But, A&M's trying to talk about how they've been relatively successful compared to Texas over the last 10 years, especially since they joined. And, hey,
no
we
doubt.
have been. But, I looked at the all-time record of Texas versus Texas A&M. The teams started playing each other in the 1880s.
That's right.
I think Texas is 76-37-5 against Texas A&M all time.
That's a record that Texas A&M hates to see.
Yeah, so that I understand why Texas A&M doesn't want Texas there. But the only thing that has to happen to get these two schools approved to come to the SEC is a majority vote by the other schools' leadership councils.
That's right.
So, I mean, if you get 8 schools that say, yeah, they can come on in,
welcome.
Then there they'll be.
Welcome to the SEC.
Can A&M politic hard enough to keep these two schools out?
I don't know if they can or not because it sounds as desperation right now. Just from what they said since yesterday has been just it reeks of desperation.
The appeal for the conference leadership alone to have those two schools join should be enough for it to not be much of an issue.
I agree. I mean, why would you not want more money coming into your conference? And that's what the ADs of these schools are going to have to look at.
That's what this is about, is money.
It's about the money.
And if you got these two brands that are going to bring in money and lots of it,
well, that's the thing.
Why would you shoo them away?
That's crazy because I guarantee you, any of these other conferences, if OU and Texas said, hey, we would like to join your conference.
Look, Barry Perkins here.
Okay.
Barry Perkins says 16 teams is too much. 14 is bad enough. Well, here's the thing, though. If Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC and they are a 16-team conference, and if the Big 12 folds, then you think the Big 10, the ACC, and the Pac-12 will all be 16-team conferences by the time that this all becomes official.
Yeah.
Because just because Texas and Oklahoma do get approved to the SEC, if they do, it won't take place for a few years because Texas and Oklahoma through the Big 12 already have contracts for TV with Fox but the SEC has the contract with CBS until 2025. I actually think Texas and Oklahoma's schedule with Fox goes through 2025 as well.
Yeah.
They've already told the Big 12 we're not renewing.
That's right.
So it's whether or not
They're
they go
already
to
on
the
their way
SEC, it looks like they are leaving the Big 12 conference.
Regardless.
One way or another. Whether they go to the Pac-12 or what have you, Texas and Oklahoma are leaving.
Oh, yeah. And I just think, though, because the bottom line, once again, is money. And the SEC knows they are primed to make a killing.
Absolute
And
killing.
with the addition of those two teams, whether or not you like them or not, the money, especially for these ADs and trying to get more money for their programs, they see the benefit. Some of these smaller schools who will see an increase in surplus cash coming in that won't be used just for the football programs. They're being able to spread that money now even more to other. We just saw Mississippi State win their first national championship in anything.
Well, in any team sport.
Any team sport. This past season, baseball.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Right, and so getting that influx of cash, that's now more incentive for football players to possibly go to Mississippi State because they can get more benefit out of it.
Heck yeah.
And like I said, with the name, image, and likeness, this is just going to create so much money for the SEC and create such a power vacuum in the world of SEC.
No doubt.
If you only watch SEC football anyway, this really shouldn't bother you because those other conferences that you already take a dump on every week,
Now
you're just going to
really
take
gonna
more
do it.
dumps on them.
That's it. That's pretty much it.
They won't be able to handle it because, yes, they will get other teams in because there will eventually be 4 16-team power conferences.
That's right.
But those other 3 are going to have a real rough time trying to hold up with the SEC.
And I want this to happen so bad just because I love the chaos of it.
Oh, without a doubt.
Everybody is so used to things as is. And you remember when actually you had A&M and Mizzou join back in, 2012, right?
Right. Yeah.
Remember the conversation back then?
Yeah, but, I mean, they're talking.
Man, no, there's more. We got what we want. I get being a purist and wanting things to stay the same, but you need a shake-up.
If they want to be purists, then they need to get Tulane back in the SEC.
Tulane needs to come back.
They were a founding charter member of the
were.
Southeastern Conference. So get Tulane back if you want to talk about traditionalism.
So I love this
Miss
because
me with that nonsense.
Your original there were 8 what were there 9, 10 teams I think in the SEC when it first started.
Don't get me lying.
Something like that. And it's funny because
you think that
you look at them and that is just crazy.
And the Big 12 was born out of the remnants of the old Southwestern Conference.
Yeah, it was.
Arkansas was a member of the Southwestern Conference.
Exactly.
And they eventually moved to the SEC.
Yeah, and they didn't get to the SEC till 91.
Oh, Barry says the ACC is probably out there calling Texas and OU.
You know it, dude.
Hey, and it would be a good move for the ACC as well. It would be a good move for the ACC. It'd be a good move for the Pac-12.
Yeah.
The Big Ten's already at 14 teams. I think they would like to get to 16. I just don't think Texas and Oklahoma logistically make sense for them.
That's right.
Yeah, they're central United States, but they're so far south.
Yeah.
It'd be more of a headache for the Big Ten, who's north central and northeast.
Exactly.
As far as their schools are.
Especially when we're talking about traveling a lot. That's what makes the SEC such a enticing thing too, because the SEC teams are all really kind of right there together. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday because we're Texas fans. So if Texas were to play here, it's like, dude, we could go to Oxford. We can go drive down to Starkville.
You think if they schedule it right, we could watch Texas play in Mississippi if they scheduled it correctly.
If they did.
We could see them in Oxford one year and Starkville the next.
Yeah.
Now, we may just go to 2 Texas games a year and see them in Oxford and Starkville when they're here, and then can't see them again for 2 years.
Yeah.
But
one of the arguments I heard was, all right, so Texas, then, they come in, then are they going to be able to play SEC football?
Yeah.
I think some they will, some they won't.
You have to adjust.
And they're going to have, and they're going to be made to adjust.
Because I don't believe that you cannot convince me that Arkansas and Mississippi State, let's say if Texas joins the West, that Arkansas and Mississippi State are going to have a good time throwing around Texas.
Not going to.
You think about that LSU national title team 2 years ago? They had their work cut out for them against Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The score is probably closer than what the game really was, but it was an arduous fight for LSU.
Yeah.
To try to get that victory over Texas. They did get the victory, but they had to fight tooth and nail to get it. Don't tell me that Texas can't come in here and take care of a State or an LSU State or Ole Miss or Arkansas. They could.
Yeah.
They can beat Tennessee. They can beat Vanderbilt. They can beat South Carolina.
No doubt.
No, maybe
they'll
they
take
probably
care of
beat
those
Auburn.
teams. Yeah.
Now, they would struggle against Alabama. They struggle against LSU. They'd struggle against Florida. They struggle against Georgia.
Yep.
I'm not going to argue that.
Completely agree.
Those 4 teams will probably whoop them.
And again, if Oklahoma's in there, then I think it's the same deal, right? Because then they'll inevitably play each other. That's just a matchup that we'll have to schedule every year, you would think, because of rivalries.
Oh,
so they would you want to keep the rivalry going. So
I would want Texas, Oklahoma, and A&M in whatever division together.
That'd be fun.
But
then you're talking about restructuring. We haven't even talked about the restructuring if it happens. Now, again, all this is subjective and it's just speculation at this point. So, but might as well have a little fun with it.
The SEC also does cross division rivals.
Yes, they do.
So, Ole Miss's cross division rival is Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Georgia's is Auburn. You could theoretically throw Oklahoma in the East with Missouri.
Yeah.
Keep both those teams in the East, although logistically it doesn't make sense, but you could do it for the sake of argument. Texas and Texas A&M in the West, but you could still have that Red River rivalry, Texas versus Oklahoma in mid-October, and that's just the cross-conference or cross-division game for those two schools.
Well, you're sitting here and you're looking at how this is set up. There's some changing that would definitely have to be done if you're going to keep it a true East-West division. I mean, if you're looking at how a true East-West division.
I mean, it just depends. How do you want to apply the geography of it?
Exactly. Because Texas A&M, obviously West.
Right.
Texas, obviously West. Oklahoma, obviously West.
Missouri should also be in the West.
Missouri's in the West as well. That should be 4 teams.
That means you need to kick Auburn and probably Alabama to keep that rivalry intact.
That's right.
Kick them over to the East as well.
What about Kentucky?
They're already in the East.
So Kentucky's East. But I'm saying you got Florida.
Yep.
Obviously, East Coast team.
Yeah, you do Florida, Georgia,
yep.
South Carolina, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Alabama, and Auburn in the East. That's your 8 teams in the East. Then the West, Texas, Oklahoma, A&M, Mizzou, Ole Miss, State, LSU, and Arkansas. That's your 8 teams in the West.
That'd be a
that is a stacked conference. And I think the division of power would be semi-fairly balanced that way, too.
Especially more so than it is right now.
You think over the last 10, 15 years, the SEC West has been so much more dominant than the SEC East. Not really until this recent rise of Georgia, who could contend with Florida.
That's right.
Because it's just been whatever team comes out of the SEC West. It could be LSU, it could be Alabama, whoever. And then just Florida.
Oh, yeah.
It was that way for a while, but now Georgia's up again. So you bring in Texas and Oklahoma, you shift Alabama and Auburn over to the East.
Dude.
You talk about it's a little more fairly balanced. It might even be skewed in the favor of the East at that point.
It might.
But still,
yeah,
it's gonna be SEC domination way more than what it already is.
Oh my God, that's what I'm saying though. The SEC, the powerhouse. I mean, that's why everybody outside the SEC would absolutely hate Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC.
Barry offers up, put Alabama in the East. Their cross rival will be LSU.
I'm all for it.
That's
Dude,
a great one.
All for it.
Now you have Auburn in the East. They already have the rival with Georgia.
Yeah.
So now that doesn't have to be the cross rivalry anymore.
Yeah, that's true enough.
You can have Auburn versus State. Give me Georgia and Ole Miss. I would love to either go to Athens or have Georgia come to Ole Miss every other year.
Absolutely.
That'd be cool with me.
I mean, why not?
I mean, we already have Vanderbilt. We probably keep Vanderbilt, but
yeah.
it's Vanderbilt. Who wants to see them?
And I love the idea of, again, your teams are going to have to be better. And I'm sorry, but you're just going to get more and more caliber talent that comes from all around the U.S. to play in the SEC, knowing
without question
how many eyes are going to be on you, because they're just gonna be.
It only benefits players.
It does.
It only benefits the schools.
Yes.
Like there's no way that anyone in this that's involved in the situation loses.
Except Texas A&M.
They don't even lose. They're still gonna financially benefit from it.
Shh, Texas A&M.
I mean, they might actually lose games, but they're not gonna lose fiscally.
Funny. Dude, I love hearing them whine.
I do too.
I love hearing the whininess of it. It wouldn't even be a big deal if they wouldn't whine about it.
The people that will lose will be number one, the Big 12, because they probably won't be around anymore.
Yeah, Big 12.
They lose. Big 10 loses. The ACC loses.
Right.
The Pac-12 loses.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
They lose just on principle that you just got 2 mega brands in the SEC to join all the other mega brands in the SEC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barry said the SEC will outfit the No Fun League with all the players. That's true.
Yeah, it will.
I mean,
they
I'm
already
sorry,
do.
that's just true.
For the most part,
Yeah.
outside of Ohio State right now,
Exactly.
they do.
And I'll be honest with you, it's going to help Texas, and Oklahoma has been solid for years now.
Yeah.
But it will still help those two teams with the recruiting because now we're in the SEC as well,
You're getting that SEC level NIL money.
and that makes a difference.
You're getting brand recognition
Yeah.
from the school. You're getting brand recognition from the conference. You're getting brand recognition from the other teams in the conference that you're playing.
Yep.
Scouts are always watching your games. NFL coaches are always watching your games.
Yes, they are.
You will always have eyeballs on you. If you are that good, you're good enough to play at Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. Like your draft profile raises so
Yep.
much more,
Absolutely.
and it's just an absolute win for everyone involved.
And I just love, once again, I'm a fan of chaos, and I love the chaos of it. I love the shakeup that this could do, not only to the SEC, but to the NCAA in general.
Oh, it's.
I mean, it's huge. If this happens, if it were to happen, that is a big, huge talking point because now the other conferences are going to have to scramble to say, you know
They're
what?
going to have to get 16 teams.
We've got to
to
do
stay
stuff.
relevant.
They're
Going to have to be 4 16-team power conferences.
That's right.
At
That's
least, at minimum.
Yeah.
Unless the Big 12 starts bringing in group of 5 schools, and maybe they can make 5, Power 5 super conferences. But the Big 12's got an uphill battle on that.
Oh yeah, I just don't see the Big 12 existing if that happens because I think these other conferences are going to say we got to get some teams. They're going to start fishing out for the rest of those Big 12 teams, going, hey, you're a good school. You're a good school. Come in here and be a better school and get some of that money. And then, we can help make you relevant too.
That makes so much more sense because you think Texas and Oklahoma leave. The Big 12 is now down to 8 schools. In order to be competitive, they have to bring in 8, but you're only going to get those 8 schools out of the group of 5.
That's right.
You're not going to draw out these other conferences.
You're just not going to.
So, if you get, let's say, like I said earlier, get Kansas, Kansas State, go to the Big Ten. That's your 16-team power conference there. The Pac-12, they could take Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU. There's your power conference there. The ACC,
and that helps out the Pac-12 who needs it. Barry says Pac-12 is going to be really mad. USC, UCLA, Washington.
yeah.
I mean, come on.
It is what it is. Colorado's had some relative success here and there. But then the ACC, they can get West Virginia back.
Absolutely.
And then they can also bring in Iowa State.
Oh, yeah.
And that could round out their conference into 16 teams.
Dude, I just want it to happen. I just want it to happen.
I would just love to see the NCAA in that format. I mean, the game's already being changed with the NIL.
It is.
With name, image, and likeness and players being able to make money and brand themselves, the bigger profile your brand can be.
Yeah.
And Texas and Oklahoma can boost the SEC profile, which means the SEC will then be boosting the Texas and Oklahoma profile conversely.
Yep. It's a win-win for both.
This is huge, but I mean SEC is already the big kids on the block.
Sure.
They're just going to be the bigger kids on the block.
It's just they want to be the quintessential bully of saying it's always got to go through us. It's just not even a question at all. Period.
And they're talking about expanding the college football playoffs after the deal comes up next season.
That's right.
So they're thinking of taking it maybe to 8 teams, possibly to 12 teams.
Yeah.
Now, if the SEC is already getting 2 teams a year in, basically with a 4-team playoff,
do we go?
Does Texas, does the SEC then get 4 teams in? Possibly.
Yeah.
So especially if there's only 4 power conferences.
That's right.
Are there still decent enough talent at the group of 5 schools? Could we see like how Memphis played in a New Year's 6 game a couple years ago, got blasted.
That's right.
In it against Micah Parsons and Penn State.
Go Micah. Cowboys.
But could we see like that kind of Memphis school get in? You remember a few years ago, UCF went undefeated and smacked around Auburn in their New Year's 6 game.
Yes, they did.
Under a 12-team playoff, do we then see those UCF schools sneak in? Cincinnati was really good last year. Possibly find their way in.
Yeah. And, and it's such a weird. The playoffs are already a big change for the NCAA. I love the expansion of it. I'm still in favor of it. And going back to
The
this,
more football you give me, the
could
happier
see-
I'm going to be.
you could potentially see 4 one-loss SEC teams in the playoffs if it expands out to 10.
Oh, yeah.
I think without question.
Now, Dabo Swinney's come out, and he is very much opposed to a 12-team playoff. He says he doesn't think there are enough teams that would deserve to
Quality,
be in a playoff, especially once you get out to 12 teams. He says the difference between 1 and 12 is extrapolated. But that's the thing. It's college. Any given Saturday, someone can pull an upset.
That's right. And if you're talking about 12 teams getting into the playoffs, then you have to do it more than one Saturday.
Right.
So you can get lucky and catch a good team on an off day. Certainly possible. We see it happen year after year. That happens.
Do they situate it like the old NFL playoff prior to last year, where the top 4 seeds
get a bye?
Get a bye?
I think they should.
I
think if you're in
teams
top
5
4,
through
get
12
that bye.
battle it out the first week.
Why not?
The winners progress.
Why not? I mean, because those 4 teams have earned it.
Yeah.
Give those top 4 teams a reward.
The teams that would have been in the regular college football playoff, they get the bye. They're already in the next round.
Absolutely. I see no reason why you should not do that for them.
And
you're the 4 teams that earned it. If you rest your teams, you want to be here?
Right.
Fine. Okay. Guess what you get to do.
But here's the thing, too. With the expanded college football playoff, if they were to expand it out to 12 teams, that's more cash flow for the schools that make it.
Yeah.
Because now you possibly get to play in more games.
That's right.
It's more TV money. It's more NIL money. It's whatever it might be.
So much.
But then if you're Clemson, like Dabo Swinney here is talking about, I don't think there's enough teams for it to be. There's no reason we should do the 12 teams. There's not enough good talent there. Well, that just means you should win more games, right?
Should be.
You should be making more money. Like, I don't understand what you have to complain about.
He really doesn't, because
I've watched
that's more money for your school.
I've watched Clemson football since Deshaun Watson was there, and they've done nothing but dominate ever since.
That's right.
I mean, they've had their struggles with Alabama, but who doesn't?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
this wouldn't be detrimental to Clemson.
No. I'm all for it, dude. I'm all for it. Let's go. Let's do this thing. But this is going to be the talk of college football.
Oh, without question.
I mean, it's just that's it.
But you think if Texas and Oklahoma get approved to the SEC,
yeah,
that's not probably realistically going to happen for about 3 or 4
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Before they
got 3 or 4
officially
years.
join the conference.
That's right, and it can't before then.
Unless they do buyouts with their TV deal.
Which is possible.
Which they may want to do just to go ahead and get there that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, but they'll recoup that money pretty fast, though, I would think.
We did have some very sad news come out of the college football world. It was announced yesterday that legendary Florida State head coach Bobby Bowden has been diagnosed with a terminal medical issue. It has not been officially announced what this medical issue is, but the man is 91 years old.
Bobby Bowden, Florida State.
He has lived a long, healthy life. He had a really rough battle with COVID-19 back in the fall. He did manage to get through it. It just took him a while. But Bobby Bowden did release a statement that said, "I've always tried to serve God's purpose for my life on and off the field, and I am prepared for what is to come." He said, "My wife Ann and our family have been life's greatest blessing. I am at peace."
There you go.
So he
That's
knows
a class dude.
He knows what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But he also understands that he's lived a long, very full life. He got to live most people's dream job.
Oh, sure.
And was a 2-time champion at it.
Yep.
Solidified his name and his family's legacy at Florida State University.
But a class act.
Oh,
Just
through and through.
Always a class act.
He coached Florida State for 34 years before he retired in 2009.
That's right.
It wasn't that long ago. It's 12 years ago. He was still coaching.
Exactly.
At 79 years old.
Yeah.
He's the second winningest coach in Division I history with 357 victories. His teams won national championships in 93 and in 99.
Well, all our best to the Bowden family. Sad news. You're 91, lived a great life, like he said. He's not sad about it. I mean, it's just, it all comes to an end. It always does. But still, you hate to hear it. One of the true legends in college football. But, speaking of football, NFL is on its way.
Yeah, boy.
And as much as I have some issues with the NFL, and a lot of people do because of certain things, it's great to have my Cowboys coming back. Jerry Jones had some strong words yesterday.
Yeah, Jerry Jones, he put himself out there
He
yesterday.
did. He was teary-eyed and everything.
So yesterday, The Cowboys reported to training camp 2 days ago. The Steelers reported to training camp yesterday.
Because they're doing the Hall of Fame game, right?
They play each other August 1st in the Hall of Fame game.
That's about the most Cowboys thing ever, right? You finally get to where you only have to play 3 preseason games. And what happens? You pick up another one.
Hey, Jerry Jones talked about how much he loves making money. He did talk about that yesterday. But yesterday, the Cowboys did a press conference.
Yep.
It was Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and head coach Mike McCarthy, where Jerry got really transparent about his relationship with Jimmy Johnson and how Barry Switzer, of all people, was the one who tried to bridge that gap. Not recently. He tried to do it as soon as Barry was brought in to be the Cowboys head coach.
Well, he didn't realize he was being brought in to be the head coach.
Yeah.
That's the funny part about it.
But Jerry, at that point in his life, was not ready to be a grown man, even though he was 50 years old.
Yeah.
and patch things up and swallow his pride. Jimmy Johnson helped the Cowboys build the dynasty that they had in the 90s.
Absolutely.
They won 2 Super Bowls with Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson officially quit coaching because of the strained relationship with Jerry. Because Jerry wanted all the credit, which, hey, to Jerry's credit, he pulled off that Herschel Walker trade.
He certainly did.
And one of the greatest one-sided trades in the history of the NFL.
Absolutely.
So, but it left Jimmy Johnson and rubbed him the wrong way, the way that Jerry was glory hounding. And so Jimmy Johnson said, fine, see what you can do without me. They bring in Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer managed to just hold the team together long enough to win another Super Bowl, and then it immediately imploded.
I think of the things that team could have done. I think 4 straight's easy with Jimmy still there.
That
4 straight's easy.
That 94-95 season could have definitely been a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
We could talk about the 49ers only having 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, that was it was kind of a one-sided game in the NFC Championship. It was just everything that could have gone wrong for Dallas went wrong.
It absolutely did.
Just how it
was.
But
I think without Jimmy Johnson, it's different because there's focus there. There's structure, which is all Troy Aikman. That's why Troy Aikman didn't get along with Barry Switzer a lot. Is because, Troy Aikman's all about the structure. You got to have that discipline in there. You see what happens when you don't.
Right.
Cowboys haven't had it since.
That's the difference in college and the NFL. In the NFL, everyone's got the talent.
That's right.
You've got to have the discipline and the focus and be locked in, ready to commit to doing what you have to do to win a championship. In college football, your team could just be straight up far more talented than the other team and just run them off the field.
Exactly.
Even with no discipline.
Well, in NFL, it's the best of the best college players are there. Even your 4th and 5th string guys are still the best of the best college players. I mean, all those guys are good. That just tells you how elite the best players in the NFL are.
Oh, without a doubt.
Which is insane when you really put it in that kind of perspective.
But Jerry Jones did it during this little press conference yesterday. He expressed his regret, and he dropped a few F-bombs, and he was very colorful with his language.
He was very colorful with it.
He owned that he screwed up.
Oh, yeah.
He screwed up with Jimmy Johnson, and he said that's on me.
Yep.
He said, I should have enjoyed the success we were having instead of trying to have it all be on me and have everything attributed to me and what I'm doing for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
Because the Dallas Cowboys were hemorrhaging about $1 million a month when Jerry Jones bought the team.
Oh, exactly.
They had 2 really bad seasons. They were
Yep.
1-15, and then they were 7-9, and then they won Super Bowls.
Yep.
They turned around so fast under the direction of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, and there's a lot look. And Jerry's done a great job for Dallas and for that Cowboys team. I mean, as far as the brand goes and making that team
profitable and
very profitable and the brand that it is, there is zero question about that. But when it comes to the on the field stuff, the winning, because you see what not having discipline does. They went through all those terrible seasons until who did he finally bring in for some discipline? Bill Parcells. Yeah. Then you saw the turnaround.
They immediately went back to the playoffs.
Yep.
Immediately.
And then what happens when Bill Parcells leaves? We go back to the non-discipline
why did
stuff.
Bill Parcells leave?
Yeah, exactly. I wonder.
Goes back to Jerry.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that
because Parcells had the talent to win a Super Bowl.
He did, and I think if he'd have stayed that next year, they would have. I think it's a completely different deal. If he'd have stayed one more year, they have that. And boy, Mike McCarthy looked good.
Oh, absolutely. Love that big white beard.
I swear.
He's in full Santa mode.
Had his aviators on, all that stuff.
But the Steelers, like I said, they reported to training camp as well.
Yes, they did.
They got a little bit of bad news the day before they reported to camp. Their starting linebacker, Vince Williams, who's the third longest tenured member of the team, second longest tenured member of that defense. He's a 31-year-old linebacker, has been with the team for 8 seasons. He retired right before training camp, which is a huge blow to that linebacking core. Of course, they got the young, I believe it's Devin Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Devin White's the one in Tampa.
That's right.
Devin Bush, they've got him there with T.J. Watt and Vince Williams. Very deadly linebacking core.
They got a great linebacker core.
That is a huge blow to the Steelers.
Roethlisberger looked really good too. He slimmed down and tightened up. I mean, dude looks good. I mean, and you can tell
as he gets ready for his 18th season.
Well, and that's the thing too. Everybody talks about Big Ben and all this stuff, but this dude's been consistent. He has played well and he's played hard. He's obviously the leader of that team. And it's funny, we talk about Dallas and stuff, but Pittsburgh has suffered a lot of bad luck, and I love their head coach. I just do.
Mike Tomlin,
I'm a huge Mike Tomlin fan.
There's a reason he's one of the longer tenured head coaches in the NFL.
That's right. Just a great dude and a great coach. But what happens when you get some of these players? We talked about Le'Veon Bell. Me and you did.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were talking about some of this, and you look at Antonio Brown and some of these other guys who are just it's not about the team.
Talent.
It's about me.
Like really surprised that those Steeler teams didn't win a Super Bowl. Once with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown.
But I think if those guys would have hung around, they would have.
Yeah.
I really believe if those guys would have hung around,
Le'Veon Bell would not get out of his own way.
Nope.
And then let's all be honest, Antonio Brown hadn't been the same since Vontaze Burfict took his head off.
Yeah, yeah. You start hearing those footsteps every time you turn around. That's no way to live as a wide receiver in the NFL.
Like Juju Smith-Schuster is a good receiver.
Yeah.
He's not a number one though.
Yeah, he's a good dude too though.
He's fun. Yeah, he's a solid human being.
Yeah.
But if you had Antonio Brown as your number one, Juju as your number two, and maybe if they still manage to somehow get Calais Chapel as 3, that's probably one of the deadlier receiving cores in the NFL.
Oh, no question. No question. Yeah, that's actually really true.
Of course, who knows? Like if AB and Le'Veon stay there, they're probably never in a position to get a Chase Claypool.
But
it's a possibility.
Stuff happens like that. That's what makes the football world so interesting and stuff.
So today is the 22nd.
Yes,
so in about 10 days.
Yep.
That's when the Cowboys and Steelers will play each other in the Hall of Fame.
And you'll not see any starters for either team. So just
you will not.
You already know this, right?
This will be the back end of that 90-man roster.
Exactly.
That'll be there.
But again, though, some guys you probably should keep a lookout for and are wondering, especially if you follow the draft and looking why they select this guy or this guy. Or can this guy make the team? I mean, there's some guys on the Cowboys I'm looking forward to seeing out there just to see what they do.
We know what the offense is. Like, no one.
Yeah, I ain't worried about the offense.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone, even if you're not a Cowboys fan, like, you know what the offense is going to be.
Yeah.
You know who the starters are in that situation.
That's right.
Maybe you're not sure about who the 4, 5, and 6 receivers are. And that could go a few different ways. But you kind of know who the starters are on defense, but there's next to no depth behind them. Like we don't know how that's going to really play out.
No, we don't.
Because you think about now, there's an abundance of numbers on the defensive line.
Yeah.
There's abundance of numbers at linebacker. But you know who the starter
That's
are.
right.
But you just don't know who those rotational players are going to be.
Oh, and that's exactly true. Another thing we got to talk about real quick though, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yes.
This whole Packer situation. It's been funny these last few days, the last few weeks actually. But listening to more and more things that are coming out, they had somebody from the cleaning staff saying, you know what, we're about to clean his house and all this other stuff. Yep. So he must be coming back. Then Aaron Rodgers had to come out yesterday and say, I only have one little small thing that cleans my house every time, and they do a wonderful job, and it's not whoever was saying they're cleaning my house, right? So there's a lot of misinformation out there. Who knows if he'll be back? Because here's the big thing with Aaron Rodgers: he turned down a huge contract extension.
It was a 2-year contract extension that would tie him to the Packers for the next 5 seasons, and also make him the highest paid player in the NFL. Not only the highest paid quarterback, but the highest paid player in the NFL in league history.
Yep.
And he let the Packers know, it's like, I don't care about the money.
Yeah.
I just don't like playing here.
That's right.
And that's a hard pill to swallow for Packer fans.
Well, and because here's what the Packer fans have to realize. It's not about the fans. It's not about the stadium. It's the upper organization part of it. That's what he doesn't like. He doesn't believe in their commitment to winning.
No.
He has seen what they've tried to do through the draft or what they haven't tried to do through the draft or even picking up people in the office. He doesn't believe that they're committed to winning. They're continued to being okay and at least getting to the playoffs.
Right.
That's what they're concerned about.
And, the Packers have such a different leadership structure than any team in the NFL because they're the only publicly traded team.
That's right.
All the other teams have singular ownership, or they have a majority owner and maybe a minority ownership staff. Like Aaron Rodgers is a minority owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, so that just made him an NBA champion.
Yep, congrats.
Yeah, congrats, A-Rod. So the Packers' leadership structure is so different than any other teams, and it's really on the GM to do everything for the Packers. And Aaron and their GMs just keep butting heads.
It's sad. It's just a sad situation.
Do we see Aaron in Denver? What are the possible trade destinations? Does Aaron Rodgers sign an extension with the Packers, but he negotiates the deal to where, like, hey, I forgot who it was. I heard someone on the radio bring up this idea. But Aaron Rodgers signed an extension with the Packers, but it says in the deal, after the first season, we will trade you to a team of your choosing. But you have to get that hammered out. It's got to be inked out, and Aaron Rodgers has to sign off on the trade. But good luck getting that to happen.
Yeah. Good luck all the way around.
But
so there's a lot of things going on in the offseason.
Yeah.
This offseason has been tough.
Now,
it's been fun.
One of Aaron Rodgers' former teammates, Mike Daniels, who is now a defensive tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, he came out today and said that watching Joe Burrow dissect the defense and how he looks at things and analyzes the plays and the situations, he says that Joe Burrow is a lot like a little baby version of Aaron Rodgers.
That's high praise,
super
buddy.
High praise. Of course, Joe Burrow tore his ACL last year because he was constantly running for his life.
Yeah.
Hopefully he will be back better than ever this season.
I'd like to see what he can do.
Yeah,
healthy.
Now, there was a reunion of sorts in the NFL recently. We saw that Cam Akers tore his Achilles the other day, getting ready for training camp. So he's going to be out for the season. So the Rams have decided to bring back Todd Gurley for the year.
Really?
Yeah, where he had all of his success. You'll see at least a two-headed monster of Todd Gurley and Darrell Henderson in that LA Rams backfield this season.
Hey, there you go.
Now, some news for the Cowboys on the injury front. Amari Cooper, DeMarcus Lawrence, and kicker Greg Zuerlein have all started the training camp on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform. I forgot what Cooper's deal was. It's knowing Cooper, though, is probably a foot.
Yep.
Foot or ankle. But DeMarcus Lawrence and Greg Zuerlein both had off-season back surgery.
Yep.
All three players should be ready to go by the start of the regular season. However, they just won't be starting off, when
That's right.
pads get put on tomorrow at training camp.
Football season, folks.
It's here.
Let's go.
It is here.
I'm excited.
We'll struggle through the next, I guess it's 5 weeks of training camp for all these teams.
Yeah, and praying that your players don't get injured.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
So once September rolls around, really late August as far as NCAA football starts.
Yeah.
Week 0 will be in August. Possibly week 1's in August. I need to look at that schedule. But there's a lot going on. Football is back. It's in full swing. What teams will step up? What teams will step back? You know how the NFL is. There's always that fourth place team in the division that turns around the next year and they win the division. Like, who's that going to be this year?
We got high school football, college football, the pros, lots of stuff going on. Stay with us to the Big Uglies throughout the season. We'll be talking about it, dude.
And as you said with the high school football, remember, we will be broadcasting live high school football.
That's right.
Every Friday night for the regular season and for the playoffs. For the North Delta Green Wave as well as the Charleston Tigers.
Yep. If you want your team broadcast on the radio, it's real easy to do. It's pretty inexpensive. And your
Especially
team
compared to terrestrial radio.
And your school does not have to invest in a lot of equipment. That's the beautiful part about it. Contact us at radio@undefinedradio.com. That's radio@undefinedradio@gmail.com. get a hold of us. We'll let you know how you can become part of the Undefined Radio family football team, and we'll get your school live on the air because you can hear it nationwide. It's crystal clear, and you can go back if you miss a game for whatever reason, and you just can't listen wherever you're at that night. You can always catch it on replay the next day.
If you're waiting on your Facebook friends to update you on what the score is, you don't have to now.
You don't have to.
Just listen to the game.
That's right. And then after that, from 9:30 to 11:30, look, Southern Football Talk Radio. That's what we're doing. We're talking high school football. All these Mississippi football, we're talking high school scores, what's going on.
Some of the big powerhouses nationally as well.
There's a lot of things that we'll be discussing, a lot of football time, a lot of sports time, just with the Big Uglies, with our Southern Football Talk Radio, with high school football, putting it on there. We're growing it every year. It's fun to be a part of. Come be a part of it with us. We'd love to have you guys.
I've never been more excited for football season.
Yeah,
I feel like I say this to myself every year, but like each year there's just an extra reason to get more and more pumped up.
I think so. You know? And we got a lot of football this year.
Between, like you said, between high school football, between college football, NFL football, we have a lot on our plates, a lot to watch, a lot to process, and a lot to discuss here on the Big Uglies.
Which is going to be fun. I'm excited about it.
Oh,
makes it all the world. It does. Makes all the difference in the world. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in for this special edition of the Big Uglies right here on Undefined Radio. And remember, if you haven't followed us on Undefined Radio, just head over there to the Facebook page and do that. Head over to our YouTube channel. Just hit subscribe, hit that notification bell, give us a follow. So anytime we go live with any Undefined Radio show, you'll get that notification. It'll be live right there.
We're also on Instagram at Undefined Radio.
We definitely are. Go check out the new look on our website, undefinedradio.com. You can see a lot of these shows are archived there. If you just want to go to the video section and scroll down through there, you'll see all the updated videos. Pick your list out there, find one you want to watch. We have a lot of shows and adding more shows all the time.
And if you like the high school football stuff, and go to the Undefined Media Facebook page, guys. You can actually see the hype videos that have been produced for both the Charleston Tigers, for the North Delta Green Wave, for Friday Night Football in general. So if you like those videos, if your school signs up to be on Friday Night Football through Undefined Radio, Undefined Media, we will gladly go ahead and put together a hype video for your school as well.
We are going to build a hype video for your school that you can do whatever you want to with to get that built up and get your fan base and your members excited about high school football, and they should be. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for us today. I don't know when the Big Uglies will be back. I know we'll be back getting ready for the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, probably
talking
next
about
Thursday.
That's right. So stay tuned to Undefined Radio. We will certainly let you know. For JC, this is Chad. We'll talk to you soon.
30, 35 down the sidelines to the 40, makes a move to the 45, the 50. He's to the 40. He could go. He's to the 25, the 20. They dive at him. They miss him. He's in the end zone. Touchdown.